Cleopatra VII. Philopator was born in 69 BCE in Alexandria, Egypt's jewel, and the city Alexander the Great had founded. She was a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a dynasty of Macedonian Greeks that had ruled Egypt since Alexander's death. Her father was the feeble Ptolemy the Auletes, despised by his people and supported by bribes to Roman authorities. Despite the decaying throne, Cleopatra's personal future was promising. She showed a keen intellect from her youth. She broke with royal tradition by taking the unprecedented step of studying the Egyptian tongue, along with Greek, Latin, Hebrew, and Ethiopic. She studied in the hallowed halls of the Library of Alexandria, where she devoured knowledge of politics, astronomy, medicine, and statecraft. Her education was not just top-notch, it was revolutionary for a future queen. While her siblings lived in luxury, Cleopatra was preparing herself for power. When Ptolemy the Auletes died in 51 BCE, Cleopatra VII, who was then 18 years old, ascended the Egyptian throne with her 10-year-old brother, Ptolemy XIV, as was prescribed by tradition. Power sharing, however, was only symbolic. The child king was in the pocket of his courtiers, like clever Pothinus and General Achillas. Cleopatra, spirited and adventurous, quickly reasserted herself as monarch alone, appearing alone on coins and, without her brother, signing decrees. This was resented by the court. In 48 BCE, in fear of her increasing authority, Ptolemy's regents exiled her from Alexandria. Cleopatra fled to Syria, where she began recruiting a mercenary force. Meanwhile, the Roman Republic was crumbling in civil war between Julius Caesar and Pompey the Great. When Pompey fled to Egypt to find refuge, he was assassinated by Ptolemy XIII on the Alexandria beach. It was a vicious mistake. When Caesar came a few days later and saw the destruction wrought, he was horrified. Rome's revenge was coming, and Cleopatra recognized that her hour had struck again. Cleopatra returned to Alexandria not with swords, but with cunning. In order to gain an audience with Julius Caesar, she devised one of the boldest entrances in history. She was smuggled into his rooms rolled up in a carpet. When the rug was unrolled, there she stood, radiant, regal, and unfazed. Caesar, a man of unlimited ambition, saw in Cleopatra a fellow passion for greatness. The two instantly and fiercely connected. Due to Caesar, Cleopatra was once again seated on the throne of Egypt, this time as co-regent with her new younger brother Ptolemy XIV, whom she mostly kept in the background. She and Caesar spent months together, sailing on the Nile, debating philosophy, and mapping the political future of the Eastern Mediterranean. Cleopatra gave birth to a son in 47 BCE, Ptolemy XV Caesar, or as the world knows him, Caesarion. But in Rome, their love scandalized the Senate. In 44 BCE, Julius Caesar was brutally murdered in an ambush. Cleopatra, who was still in Rome, fled the city with Caesarion and back to Alexandria, where she would reign alone. She ruled on her own now, but she needed a new Roman ally to secure Egypt's place in the Mediterranean world. He arrived in 41 BCE, Mark Antony, one of Caesar's veteran generals, and now one of 3 men ruling Rome. Antony invited Cleopatra to meet him at Tarsus. Her response was legend stuff. She arrived on board a barge draped in gold, purple sails billowing in the wind, incense filling the air, and Cleopatra herself dressed as the goddess Isis. Antony was utterly besotted. He followed her back to Alexandria, where they entered into a relationship that was as much political maneuver as it was love. The two lived together in luxury, having rich banquets, and fantasizing about a united Hellenistic empire ruled by love and domination. Cleopatra bore him 3 children: Alexander Helios, Cleopatra Selene, and Ptolemy Philadelphus. Octavian, meanwhile, back in Rome, proclaimed war and propaganda. He stated that Antony had been enchanted by an Egyptian enchantress and no longer spoke for Roman interests. In 32 BCE, Octavian publicly read a copy of Antony's secret will, declaring his plans to award eastern provinces to Cleopatra's children. Not only war was declared against Antony, but also against Cleopatra herself. The final encounter was in 31 BCE, during the Battle of Actium, off the west coast of Greece. Antony and Cleopatra's fleet engaged Octavian's fleet, led by the great Marcus Agrippa. Cleopatra's fleet was heavy with luxury, treasure-laden, while Octavian's ships were light and tactically superior. During the course of the battle, Cleopatra's fleet retreated, perhaps on instructions. Antony, appalled and despairing, left the field of battle and chased after her. The withdrawal turned into a rout. Octavian achieved a crushing victory. The war was lost. The lovers fled back to Alexandria, where their empire crumbled. Allies abandoned them. Supplies ran out. Their dreams of a Mediterranean dynasty were in shambles. When Octavian's troops came to the gates of Alexandria, the days were numbered. In a final attempt at resistance, Mark Antony tried to rally his soldiers, but morale had broken. He learned that Cleopatra was dead, and in despair, stabbed his own body with his sword. He was taken to Cleopatra's hidden mausoleum, where he died in her arms. Believing that she had to get away from the public humiliation of being paraded in irons through Rome, Cleopatra took steps to arrange her own death. On August 12th, 30th BCE, she died, tradition holding that by the asp's bite, though more likely poison. Octavian buried her in royal style alongside Antony. Caesarion was captured and executed, removing any threat to Octavian's throne. The Ptolemaic dynasty was no more. Egypt became a Roman province, and its last pharaoh, Cleopatra, entered legend. Centuries passed, but Cleopatra's reputation increased instead of diminishing. From Plutarch to Shakespeare, she was represented alternatively as seductress or genius queen. Money from her reign still exists today, exhibiting a woman of sharp features, not fantasy of the modern film, but a ruler of intellect and strength. Her tomb remains lost, possibly at Taposiris Magna, but her reputation lives on in all forms: plays, paintings, operas, and movies. She was the last pharaoh, the last voice of an ancient 3,000-year-old civilization, the last to resist Rome's tsunami. Cleopatra was a consort, but something more. She was the last queen of Egypt, its diplomat, priestess, and symbol of independence. In death, she became immortal. If you enjoyed the video, please do hit the like button. It helps us get the video out to more people. If you want to see more history videos like this, please do subscribe. We release a new video weekly.